Hi, my name is Marisa Palermo, and today I'll be talking to you about the E. coli outbreak that happened at Taco Bell in 2006. So, Taco Bell, as many of you know, is a fast food restaurant that it was founded in 1962 in California, and they're known for their tacos and other Mexican style cuisine, um, and their Baja Blast freezes, which are really good. So back in 2006, there was an E. coli outbreak that affected stores in 5 different states. There was a total of 71 cases that were reported to the Center for Disease Control, or the CDC. And the cases that were reported ranged from November 20th to December 6th. So there was about a little over 15 days that this was going on. New Jersey had the most reported cases with 33, so they're hit very heavily. So basically, the E. coli outbreak sprung from lettuce and cheddar cheese that was being used in these stores, more in the northeastern part of the United States. So this Taco Bell released a statement quickly after the first couple reports, stating that they believed it was from the green onions in their store and immediately pulled them from every store internationally because they didn't want anyone else to get affected. But this was not the case because there were a lot more cases that were reported. Out of the 71 cases, 53 people were hospitalized due to the E. coli. 7 of them ended up with an extreme kidney infection, but fortunately nobody died. So that was very fortunate for Taco Bell. The CDC was able to identify this particular E. coli strain in their store due to a process that is very similar to DNA fingerprinting used in crime labs and identification of people. The CDC and the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, came in and they took 384 samples from these different stores and tested them. And of them, only 16% tested positive for E. coli. Most of them, of course, being the lettuce and cheddar cheese. But surprisingly, there were other food items such as taco shells, beans, and white onions that were also tested positive for E. coli, but this was out of that 16%, it was a very small percentage, 2 and 3%, some as high as 4. And they believed that most of these were actually due to cross-contamination of food and not the actual food containing the strain itself. So out of everyone that was affected, 97% of them said they consumed lettuce, and 84% said they consumed the cheddar cheese. So those were definitely the key drivers in this whole thing. And surprisingly enough, though the white onions tested positive, they didn't actually contain the same strain as the lettuce and the cheese and the stuff that had been cross-contaminated. So that was very interesting for them to find out, and they were able to stop that in its tracks too. So the CDC took further in this investigation, and they were able to determine that the lettuce and the cheese were coming from 2 major suppliers, and the lettuce specifically was coming out of the Central California Valley region, and they were able to talk to those farmers and get that whole thing under control, so no other stores or any other places that they supply to would be affected. So that was one way that the CDC was helpful in controlling this whole crisis. Taco Bell themselves, actually, like I said, they released their statement right after about the green onions, but they actually were doing more to help prevent it in the future. So the Taco Bell stores, the Taco Bell headquarters, along with the CDC, they reviewed food safety plans to make sure that there was nothing that they were doing wrong, and they communicated with their suppliers about their food safety plans and their whole goal for that was to prevent another outbreak in the future for anything, not just E. coli. And then the Taco Bell stores as individuals were retraining their staff in food safety so they wouldn't cross-contaminate anything anymore. So instead of, going back and touching lettuce over here and then going to beans and going back and forth all day, they talked about, washing their hands in between things to prevent cross-contamination, changing gloves, and other things like that. After the CDC left, they left it in the hands of the local the local health department, who were kept in communication with the state health department, who was then reporting to the CDC to make sure that everything was still going smoothly and the CDC wouldn't have to come back in and do damage control. The Taco Bell headquarters, without the CDC, kind of had things planned out to, help with this crisis. So one of the major things that they did, they used a minimization technique to reduce the negativity on their stores and their brand image. They since they were able to find and locate the source of the E. coli outbreak, they were able to reassure their customers that it was under control and no one else would get sick. And the customers reacted very positively to this and continued to eat at these Taco Bell stores. They were able to admit to their mistake, even though they might have not felt fully responsible. And this is a mortification technique. Since they did trace it back to the supplier, some of the workers and some employees did believe that Taco Bell shouldn't have been responsible, but they admitted to their mistake and again assured that it was under control. They also had many corrective actions. They were able to take the problem and eliminate it within days of it first occurring, and then of course, like I mentioned before, they were going back over food plans with their suppliers and their stores, and then also retraining their employees. So this was definitely something that was not taken lightly. They were able to handle this, in a very quickly and professional manner, and also their tactics help them not ruin their image and fix the problem very quickly. Thank you.